Welcome, insiders. Thanks for coming in and hanging out with us today on this fine Wednesday, November 10th, 2021. Marks the 246th birthday of the United States Marine Corps. And we'll touch base on that here in a moment. But I just want to welcome you all. Thanks for coming in and joining us. We're going to give you guys a few minutes to kind of roll in here, introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, what your branch of service was, when did you serve. We want to know these things because we want to hear about you, and we just want to enjoy this day with y'all today. Okay, I'm joined with Coach, senior veteran coach Caleb McLaughlin. He is also a Marine. I'm a United States Marine. I served from 2005 to 2010. Deployed to Iraq, to Afghanistan. I was in the 3rd Marine Air Wing with units HMM 165 and VMGR 352, deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan, both in 2009. Got a 2-for-1 there, and then came home. And now I'm just doing what I can to help you guys out. We got a very important topic to discuss with you this morning, and we'll get it going here in a moment. But we want you to check in again. We want to hear your location, where you at, what your branch, what years did you serve? Caleb, what you got, brother?
Awesome, man. Hey, happy birthday, brother.
Happy birthday to you, too.
Yeah, thanks, brother. Semper Fi. Always a good time to hang out with fellow Marines, especially here on the Marine Corps birthday. Ricky, I see you joining us. Love to see you throwing your location down here in the chat box. Like Ricky said, just want to echo, the happy birthday wishes to all our fellow Marines here. It's a pleasure to be with you all on this Facebook Live. And like Ricky said, if you'd love to tell us where you're from, what branch, and what years you serve, go ahead and throw that in the chat box. We'd love to give you a couple shout outs as we move forward with today's program here. So like I mentioned, and after Ricky introduced himself, we're both Marines. I served for 5 years in the Marine Corps Infantry from 2010 to 2015. Did a couple tours, a couple different areas all over the world, and then finished up my last duty station with 1-8 down in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. So I had the best time during those 5 years, leading, being led by other Marines, and then leading Marines by the time I ended my service. So and now, after getting out about 7 years ago, I'm now a disabled Marine. With 100% permanent in total. And I came through this program about a year and a half ago and partnered up with my coach here. And he was able to help me be recognized by the VA for all of the disabilities that I should have been rated for. So like Ricky said, now he gets to coach veterans through this VA disabled process, and I get to do the same thing. We both get to share our success with all of you. So again, thank you for joining us. We're going to have a lot of fun today. Let's go ahead and give some people some shout outs. Ricky, what do you think?
For sure. Let's see. Let me pull up our chat here.
Yeah, a bunch of Marines checking in.
Yeah, I've got quite a few. Let's see. We got Mark Harrell, 8892, United States Marine Corps, Semper Fi.
Semper Fi. Absolutely.
Gunny Greer, Semper Fi to you too.
Gunny, happy birthday.
Got Manuel from the United States Army, retired, Ohio, 90%. 90%. You're super close, brother. We want to see what we can do to help you get to that 100% mark.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. We got William, U.S. Army, 93 to the year 2020. So thank you, William, for being here. Gary, Army retired, 76 to 96. Welcome. We're trying to get to everybody here. I don't know if we'll be able to. Give a shout out to everybody, but ultimately we're very happy that you're all here. So thank you for joining us. Let me before we get into our topic, we have a really, really important topic today, and it looks like we have one of our viewers, Chef, going right into the tinnitus condition with a couple questions. We will certainly get to all of that, and in terms of ratings, symptoms. And then we'll dive into some secondaries that can be built off of your, service-connected tinnitus. But let me take a step back a little bit and talk about what we do here at VA Claims Insider. If you don't know, our job here at VA Claims Insider is to help all of our veterans who are underrated and frustrated by the VA disability process. Okay, as if you were to sign up for our elite program, and we'll get our support people on the back end dropping our company link down there. If you need our help with the disability process and you sign up for the elite membership, you get one of us assigned to you as your coach. Okay, and with that, as your coach, we arm you with the strategy, the education, and then we help you go and point you in the right direction for medical evidence if that's needed to back up your claim. So we use the SEAM method, SEM method around here, and we walk through this entire process with you step by step from start to finish. Everything from, again, having that initial strategy session, gathering the medical evidence, pointing you in the right direction on what maybe you want to include with that claim. We actually walk you through filing the claim together via Zoom or over the phone, and then we prep you up for the CMP, or the compensation and pension exam that the VA most likely will call you in to verify your claim. So that's what you get with us here at VA Claims Insider, and with us as your personal coach. We do, in addition to all of that, you get access to our website, which has a ton of incredible resources and videos and things that aren't open out, or are not available out on the open source web, internet. And then in addition to that, we actually host live classes every day. So we host coffee with coaches every morning. We host claim filing classes, or even CMP preparation classes as well. So, and then on Saturdays, we host a variety of specialty classes as well. So if you need our help, we just drop the link in the chat box. Please reach out, and we're ready and willing to help you out with this entire process. So, all right, the moment everyone has all been waiting for. We've been waiting for this. We've been preparing for this, and thank you all for joining us. Ricky, take it away, brother.
All right, so the hot topic for today, we're going to be talking about that little buzzing in your ears, if you got it, called tinnitus, however you want to explain it away. There's several different ways that people say it, but we're going to be talking about that. Both of us have been rated for it. If you've been in the infantry around weapons, explosions, if you've worked around a flight line at all, I was like I said, I was with the C-130 unit. We were at MCAS Miramar. We were Hangar 0, so we were behind the start of the flight line. So every single time one of them F-18s took off full afterburner, we were there, and it shook everything. On top of that, they also like to do, the wind tunnels right next to my shop. So I was doomed to get it from the get-go. So, so if you're dealing with that, there are some contributing factors. Hearing protection, double hearing protection was not exactly always a thing that was practiced, even after the Naval Aviation Maintenance Program came along and determined that that's what you ought to be doing. Okay. So if you were one of those veterans that was out there, maybe you were wearing one of those 3M earplugs that they're going wild about. Okay. If you're dealing with some hearing problems, let's pay attention, and hopefully we can get you some answers, get you going on this. Okay. So tinnitus is one of the most common claimed conditions. It affects a huge amount of the veteran population. I mean, we're veterans. We're part of the military. We have lots of loud stuff. Okay, you are very. It's almost a given that if you served in the military, that you're probably going to stand a high chance of winding up with this. Okay, so there are several symptoms that it involves, but let's talk about what it is. So tinnitus is when you experience ringing or other noises in one or both of your ears. The noise you hear when you have tinnitus isn't caused by an external sound, and other people usually can't hear it. Tinnitus is a common problem. It affects about 15% to 20% of people, and is especially common in older adults. Okay, now tinnitus is usually caused by an underlying condition such as age-related hearing loss, in ear injury, or a problem with the circulatory system. Okay. Now there are some symptoms that can be found. Tinnitus is most often described as a ringing in the ears, even though no external sound is present. However, tinnitus can also have types of phantom noises in your ears. So if there's any buzzing or roaring or clicking or hissing or humming, those are also signs of tinnitus. So if you thought, well, I don't have it doesn't sound like I have a choir of crickets in my ears, but it sounds like the ocean, that's probably not tinnitus. Well, you could be wrong. Okay. Most people who have tinnitus have subjective tinnitus. Okay. So subjective, or tinnitus that only you can hear, right? The noises of tinnitus may vary in pitch from a low roar to a high squeal, and you may hear it in one or both ears. In some cases, the sound can be so loud that it interferes with your ability to concentrate or hear external sounds. So, I know for myself, I get very distracted whenever this stuff is going. It's literally going on in this ear right now. And so my wife can be saying something to me, and it's not because I just have selective hearing. It's because I've got this loud ass noise. Sorry, excuse my language. I got this loud noise in my ear, and it's hard to differentiate between one thing and the other, right? So, if you have these things going on, we're going to recommend, hey, we're not medical professionals, but get to your doctor. Talk to them about these things that you have going on, okay? There is no cure, and the test is subjective. Caleb, you want to talk about the noise exposure list?
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, absolutely. We'll get to the noise exposure list. I just want to touch on a few things. So,
Sure.
you mentioned, I have tinnitus as well, and when you talk about concentration difficulties, and trying to pay attention to what other people are saying, it can be very frustrating trying to listen to what others are saying, and I often have people repeat themselves. Um,
Hmm.
and say, huh? Can you say that again? Can you
Yep.
speak up? And that was a big thing when I was back at school. I would have my professors repeat themselves. So it can be very frustrating, very annoying. So when we're talking about this subject, Ricky and I both literally feel your pain. Or feel your symptoms if you were with all of this going on, and I know we were talking about what causes noise exposure, in terms of what causes this condition. So like I said, I was in the infantry, exposed to all sorts of weapons training and live fire and explosions. We were stationed near a flight line for a while, me and my unit. I saw somebody mention in the chat that they were a retired musician. I've heard of musicians not being afforded adequate hearing protection or hearing protection at all, and they've actually been able to come away with a 10% tinnitus rating. And David also makes a comment that cigarette butts were used back in the day on the rifle range. So I have heard those stories as well. So yeah, lack of hearing protection or lack of adequate hearing protection definitely contributes to that exposure. So um, some of the causes, just continuing with those um, acoustic noises, that acoustic noise exposure. So hearing loss can be attributed as a cause. Whiplash, head injuries, traumatic brain injuries, those sorts of accidents or situations. Meniere's disease, which is an inner ear disorder that may be caused by abnormal inner ear fluid or pressure. So those are just a little bit of the kind of outline what the conditions are, or I'm sorry, what the causes are that would cause that condition of tinnitus. And like Ricky said, there isn't a cure. The test is very subjective. The CMP exam is sometimes coupled with a hearing test as well. So there's a test for hearing loss, and then the second half of that is a bunch of questions that the examiner asks you about your tinnitus claim. So what was the event in service? What was that noise exposure in service? What are your symptoms like today? Can you describe those? That buzzing, hissing, ringing sound in your ears, and then they may ask you about how that affects you on a daily basis. So we'll get into a little bit more of that later on. But yeah, let's talk about the noise exposure list. We have our link, vaclaimsinsider.com. We have a blog to the noise exposure list, and that's going to be dropped here in the chat box as well. The noise exposure list came up in about 2010. The VA sent out a fast letter outlining this noise exposure list, and basically off this exposure list, it concedes that noise exposure is based on your MOS, or your military occupational specialty. And it divides those MOSs into 3 different categories: a high probability category, a moderate category, and a low category for noise exposure. So go ahead and click on that link in the chat box, find where your MOS falls. And if you happen to fall in the moderate or the low category, don't be discouraged by that. Most veterans, like Ricky said, most veterans have this condition. It can be based off of a 1-day event or a 1 second or 1 minute event as well, even though you worked in a low probability MOS. So just keep that in mind. Most veterans are approved for this disability. That's the point I want to say with all that.
One thought to have on that is, don't discount your possibility for having that. For example, while I worked at Hangar Zero there at Miramar, we had S1 personnel. They were administrative personnel. So if an administrative person, suppose that they're rated as low probability, well, if you're connected with a squadron that's right there on the flight line, then you're still getting exposed to those things. So don't discount that. Where you were, where you've served, and what sorts of things that you were exposed to. So just make sure you stick to your guns. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, great point there, Ricky. So let's talk about basically how to get service connected for this condition. We've talked a lot about the event in service. So having that acoustic trauma while in service, if it's documented in your service records, great. This will be filed as a direct basis. Remember some of those qualifying events, a rifle or weapons training, musicians working with motor T. Maybe you worked on 5 tons and that diesel engine is just running constantly, or maybe you worked in a tank unit. And again, exposed to those very loud machines or loud engines. And then, like Ricky mentioned earlier, working on or near a flight line, maybe on an aircraft carrier. Maybe you weren't on the deck of that aircraft carrier. Maybe your rack was just below the deck of that aircraft carrier, and those planes and jets are taking off, 24/7 while you're underway on ship. So anyway, just a few points there to keep in mind there. And then, like Ricky said, if you think you have tinnitus, that ringing in your ears, go to the doctor, talk to them about it, get an actual diagnosis. Whether it's your primary care or the VA, go get an actual diagnosis. And then we need to complete the puzzle here and come up with a nexus linking the two, so that event in service and that current diagnosis. Now, you can be diagnosed during the CMP exam. That's how I was diagnosed. I didn't go out and get a doctor saying, oh, yeah, you have tinnitus. I actually went to my CMP exam, that compensation and pension exam, and I was diagnosed there on the spot. So the nexus is really important. Ricky, do you want to talk about how the VA concedes that nexus?
So that nexus is going to happen primarily based upon where you were, right? Or there, if you need a medical professional to be able to write that off for you, to be able to say, hey, these things are at least as likely as not service connected, that would be the other route to get a nexus. And if you do need that, well, you can talk with us and we can help you out with that. So the nexus is we just talked about the noise exposure list, right? And so it's almost a presumptive, right? It's almost considered presumptive. And so basically all you have to do is go to the VA, take your DD-214, your claim, your personal statement that you've come up with, hand that over to them, and that nexus ought to be able to be connected that way. But if you have trouble running that route, then I would highly suggest working with us and we can help you out.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And like Ricky said, include your DD-214 as your evidence that shows, the branch you served in, the dates you served, locations you were deployed to, your MOS, things like that. And then, like he mentioned, a personal statement tying the whole thing together. So that personal statement, that 4138 form, that VA form, a few things you want to include with that. What happened to you while you were in service? What noises were you exposed to? Where were you stationed? Were you on that airfield or that flight line for 6 months? Did your hearing protection fall out while you were on the rifle range? Like, talk about what happened. Where were you? Give a location, give a date of when you were exposed at that specific location, and then talk about your current symptoms. Okay, so all of that first portion is talking about your in service history and details, but then fast forward to your current symptoms. Describe what your day looks like as soon as you wake up in the morning. For me, it was, that buzzing, ringing in my ears. It was constant all day, every day. And then all the way through the end of the day. And it's hard to fall asleep and it's hard to stay asleep. I have to turn a TV on, or I actually have a noise machine, a white noise machine that I sleep with on the nightstand right next to my bed. So talk about those current symptoms in that personal statement. So just a couple thoughts there of what to include in that personal statement.
Sure.
Yeah.
Then, eventually, whenever you do get to that C&P exam, you want to make sure you're not going to really want to focus on the hearing loss or focus only on one ear. You want to focus on all together, right? And let the doctors be the one to decipher what's going on there. You want to talk about when this stuff started happening, right? When is very important. And you need to be able to link it to your service. Okay. Did it happen during your service? Did it happen after your service? Did it happen before your service, or was it aggravated by your service? Right. These are all very important things. And what was the exposure? Like we've mentioned before, you need to be able to talk to, if I was working around F-18s taking off full blast every single day for months on end on ship, there's your exposure. If you're working in artillery, there's your exposure. I can give you 1,000 examples. But you need to emphasize the link to your time in service and the lack of ear protection or adequate hearing protection. And to be perfectly honest, I wore double hearing protection the vast majority of the time, and I still got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't even know that even really does anything, to be perfectly honest. Now, you also want to speak to what have you been doing since you got out of the military? What have your occupations been? Have you been going to the shooting range, mowing your lawn, things like that? Take all those things into consideration. But I'll be perfectly honest, there's nothing that I've done since I got out of the military that has been quite as loud as the military.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting you bring up that point. I was actually asked those questions in my C&P exam. Okay, so since you got out of the military, what do you do for work? Do you mow your lawn and not wear hearing protection? Do you go, to the shooting range and not wear hearing protection? So those topics or questions may come up during that C&P exam. But like you said, you really want to emphasize the link to your time in service and the lack of hearing protection or the adequate hearing protection while you're in service. We have a lot of great comments and great questions here. We're going to give those a look over, and we're gonna read off a bunch as time permits here. So if you have questions, feel free keep dropping them in the comment block there as well. So we're gonna do our best to get to every question as quickly as we can. Let's go ahead and pivot a little bit. So let's say you already have tinnitus. Let's say you already have a 10% rating for tinnitus, which is the max. One of the questions was, can you actually pass your hearing test, but still qualify for a 10% for tinnitus? Yes, I actually passed my hearing test. I'm not service connected for any sort of hearing loss. I'm not even service connected at 0. However, I still have 10% for the ringing in my ears, that tinnitus. So great question by Danny there. That is a really important point to highlight there. But so let's say we have a few veterans here who are commenting. What if you're already connected for 10%? with tinnitus, with ringing in your ears. I mean, is that Ricky? You mentioned it's a good jumping off point or a good starting point. What would you highlight for a veteran who's coming in with 10% tinnitus? What would you talk about after that?
Well, what I would do in a coaching session scenario, I would ask them, okay, well, how is that affecting you? Like, you got this ringing going on in your head 24/7. How does that affect your day? Like, like in the grand scheme of things, in reality, like last Tuesday, how did that hit you? Um, did it make you irritable? Does it make you like does it bother you that you have this going on? And not as like a leading question, but what is it really? Because I can tell you from my own personal experience, whenever I have this stuff going crazy, it makes me short fused. It also leads to some massive headaches. And then there's a lot of other things that come down from that, and it all starts from this little Jiminy Cricket in my ear. So
That's a good way of describing
yeah,
it. That's a good way of describing it.
yeah.
So yeah, that 10% tinnitus rating, that could open the door to either a mental health claim, if you have anxiety due to your tinnitus, or some other mental health condition. You could file as a secondary off of this small 10% rating. So just a thought, as some of our veterans may be having questions about, yeah, I'm already service connected for tinnitus. What else does that lead to? So definitely could be mental health, frustrated, irritated, short fuse. I'm very frustrated by having people having to repeat themselves. It's actually pretty embarrassing. It's pretty embarrassing when I have to say, "Hey, I'm sorry. Could you speak up a little bit? Could you say that again? I really, I need a little, need a little extra love here to help me understand what you're saying here." So, so the mental health conditions that could be filed as a secondary off of tinnitus. That Meniere's disease that I mentioned a little bit earlier, you can dig into that. That could be not an easy secondary, but it could lead to a secondary built off of that tinnitus condition. And then you already mentioned the headaches. That ringing in your ears can actually cause headaches. So headaches could be considered as a really good secondary claim off of tinnitus.
Yeah, and if you're dealing with any of those things, one, you want to make sure you get to the doc. I mean, if you're dealing with
Yeah,
chronic migraines or anything like that, don't just discount that. A lot of times I talk to veterans and they'll be like, well, I just I have a few here and there, and I'm like, how often is a few?
yeah,
And then they'll be like, oh, I have like 2 or 3 a week. That's pretty frequent.
yeah,
Okay, 2 or 3 a week is pretty frequent. And then we mentioned Meniere's disease. I mean, let's break that down a little bit. If you're having balance issues,
yeah,
you're having to like sit down. Like, if this stuff comes on and then all of a sudden you're like, your equilibrium goes berserk and you have to sit down, or if you're having to take vertigo medication or anything like that because of this, well, if you're taking that kind of medication, you've probably already talked to your doc. But if you are having these kinds of experiences, get to the doctor. That's the most important thing. We can help you with the rating all day, but if your health is not addressed, then we're not really doing you much good. Okay, so get to the doctor, talk to them about these things that are going on, and then let's see what can be done to link those things together.
right. And you mentioned a very important part, linking those two together. So we have a question just dropped in the chat. Yeah, so I have tinnitus. How can I connect another condition? Well, you would need a medical professional to write what's called a nexus letter. And that's written by a board certified professional, medical professional, where they literally put their name and reputation on that document, and they sign it and they say, in my professional opinion, these two things are linked together and it should be service connected. That's in layman's terms, that's how that should be looked at, or will work. So yeah, if you have any of these possible secondary conditions, like Ricky said, get to the doctor, get with us, partner up with a coach. We can get you pointed in the right direction, go and secure a nexus letter written up by one of these medical professionals. And that nexus letter can be used as medical evidence in filing that disability claim for whatever secondary condition you're wanting to pursue. So, but great point there, Ricky, with getting to the doctor. Absolutely. What do you say we tackle some of these questions? I have to scroll back up in the chat function. Anything
Sure.
else you want to close out with topic wise before we get to the questions?
You wanna touch on mental health a little bit?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So in terms of being a secondary condition,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So a lifestyle impact claim or a mental health claim filed off of tinnitus is it really should be considered. Okay, because most of us veterans we're dealing with the tinnitus, and most of us are dealing with the after effects or the side effects of that tinnitus, which could be anxiety. It can be, it can fall under the mental health umbrella or the lifestyle impact that tinnitus has on your life. So if you're frustrated with the tinnitus ringing in your ears, if it causes sleep issues like chronic sleep impairment, if it causes concentration issues or memory issues, if you're like me, if I don't write it down, I'm going to forget about it. That's honestly, I've got my notebooks laid out depending on whatever subject I'm trying to keep track of. Um, but um, but yeah, if I don't write it down, I'm going to forget about it. So a few mental health conditions can be filed secondarily to tinnitus. Based on the mental health symptoms, and if you're dealing with any of those symptoms, and you can describe them as how they're linked to your tinnitus, get in touch with us, get assigned a coach, and we can help pursue a strategy going forward with that. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Awesome.
Let's get to some questions. I have to scroll back up. So Tim says he has tinnitus. I think kind of an overarching question here that people may have is, when can they file for tinnitus, or is there a point in time that they have to file tinnitus by, in terms of when they got out of the service?
There's no limit. You
Right.
can. I went almost 7 years without filing a claim at all,
Yeah.
and I ended up filing. Wrote a personal statement. Went for my audiogram, and next thing I know, I was rated for it. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've helped veterans, here Vietnam veterans who come in with no rating at all, and based off their DD 214 and a personal statement written up to describe their noise exposure, decades later, approved for their 10% tinnitus claim, or even approved for other conditions. But yeah, it's never too late to file, and there's no time limit on when you have to file for your disability conditions. So yeah. One of our Facebook users says they use tinnitus to add a lifestyle impact claim secondary to tinnitus. So they went from 10%, and they said they went to 70%. So off of that mental health claim filed as a secondary off of that 10% tinnitus. So yeah, congratulations there. That's great news. We'd love to hear success stories with all of our veterans here. So let's see what else we have here. Bunch of guys, bunch of veterans working on flight lines, working on aircraft carriers. Yeah, get your tinnitus claim filed with the VA, and get that CMP exam spun up, so you guys can go and get evaluated by the VA and get that tinnitus rating if you deserve it. So Danny says, how often do I have to quote unquote hear this to qualify for tinnitus? Most of the time, a few times a day, more than half of the days. Danny, if you were denied in the past, I would definitely appeal that. The VA is constantly looking and relooking at claims. So if you're denied for a claim, we definitely would point you in the direction of some sort of an appeal, whether you go the HLR route and file that higher level review, or add some new medical evidence and go the supplemental appeal route and have the VA relook at your claim, reopen that claim in essence, and take another look at your specific case. So Michael said he was field artillery. Yeah, I think that qualifies with a lot of noise exposure there. What do you think, Ricky?
yeah, I think field artillery ought to also qualify for a TBI. To be
Yeah.
perfectly honest,
Yeah.
with everything that goes on with that.
Yeah, exactly. King of battle, right? The field artillery, king
Yeah,
of battle. Yeah,
yeah.
love that. Let's see, we have a couple guys in a mortar platoon, heavy mortar platoons, and in Panama. Yep. Definitely get your tinnitus claim filed, get it off the ground, send it off to the VA. Flightline aircraft mechanic. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay. So I already touched on the denials. If you're denied, file an HLR, file a higher level review with the VA if needed, or go get some new relevant relevant and new medical evidence and file a supplemental claim and have the VA relook at your claim. What else here? Gunner's mate, airborne, tinnitus is documented. Oh yeah, okay. So Carl says tinnitus is documented, but have any of you filed for the 3M lawsuit? Just curious if it's worth it. I personally haven't. I have tinnitus. I have my rating for it. I did wear the 3M earplugs my whole time in the Marine Corps. I still have them actually here in my closet, in my gear locker. But yeah, so no, I personally haven't. I don't know, Ricky. What do you think? Have you heard of anyone going?
I haven't gone for it. I had those, but
Yeah.
working in aviation, I realized very quickly that those plugs didn't do anything, and so I just got the foamy ones and I started wearing those. So personally, I've not gone after it. I suppose I could get signed up on it, but me personally, they said they're settling a $9 million lawsuit.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to see much more than like $2 out of it. So
maybe. I guess if you feel it's worth it and you want to go for it. Maybe there'll be a payout of some kind. I'm not sure. I would imagine there are a lot of veterans jumping on board with that, and maybe rightly so. But yeah, I'm not quite.
But that's not going to make any difference when it comes to your VA claims, because it really comes down to if tinnitus maxes out at 10%, and then the hearing loss that has its own rating criteria. Okay, it's not the lawsuit is not going to be added to that rating criteria. I can almost guarantee you.
Yep. Let's see. Oh yeah, we already talked about it. Danny was asking, can you pass the hearing test but still have tinnitus? Yep, I passed the hearing test. I don't have a hearing loss condition that's service connected. I don't think I should have passed, but I think my hearing is pretty bad besides the tinnitus. But I did come away with a 10% tinnitus rating. So, and Joe makes a great point. A statement ties everything together. And that's exactly right. Yeah, that personal statement on the statement of support of claim form, the 4138 form, literally ties everything together. The noise exposure, what you were exposed to, when were you exposed to it, what exactly happened or took place, and then your current symptoms that you're dealing with each and every day, which you're going to have to, if you get called in for a CMP exam, you're going to have to describe anyway. So putting it down in black and white is really important for when the VA rater gets a chance to look at it. So yeah.
Let's see. Lawrence says, I served in the Marine Corps in the late 70s and was found to have hearing issues. What can you do when your discharge physical that mentions a hearing loss as well as tinnitus is missing from your official files? I would still file for it. I would just file for it, and they're going to because they're going to compare what they're able to have on file, and they're going to compare what it was prior to your service, during, because you have to do audiograms throughout, and then they'll do cross-reference between all those things, and they ought to be able to come up with some sort of conclusion. If there's hearing loss, it'll be noted. If you're dealing with tinnitus, still go for it. Don't worry about whether or not it showed up on your physical.
Yep, great point. The next question here is from Lee, United States Marine Corps. Happy birthday to both of those viewers checking in. Happy birthday, Marine Corps birthday to you both. 20% for type 2 diabetes, Vietnam veteran. Thank you for your service. Start out by saying that as well. Our Vietnam veterans are very special, very near and dear to my heart. My uncle is a Vietnam veteran, Marine Corps as well. And very near and dear to my heart. Let's see, been suffering from tinnitus for years. Several docs say nothing can be done. That's true. No cure for your tinnitus. The VA says that they can provide hearing aids, but not much else. Yeah, so an interesting point on the hearing aids. The hearing aids will amplify what needs to be amplified, and then it will reduce that or cancel out that ringing in your ears. So hearing aids have actually come a long way. They don't just amplify the noise and what you should be hearing. They actually cancel out the unwanted noises as well. So again, like Ricky and I have been saying, get to the doctor, get a diagnosis if that's what's needed, complain about your symptoms and document your symptoms. And if you need special sort of hearing aids, ask about those noise or tinnitus canceling hearing aids. And if that helps you out, I think that would be a really great move for sure.
Yep.
Let's see. Jackson says, "Oh, United States Marine Corps, happy birthday!" Cherry Point, awesome. Got out with 20% baby steps. Now is 100% permanent total. Only took 45 years. Yeah, that's. I laugh because we all talk about how we should have filed much earlier than we did. I mean, I didn't really start filing my claims till several years after I got out. So the VA can be a little slow. I think some of that can be definitely our fault. The VA is a little slow right now. Just honestly, they're understaffed. They're trying to hire the appropriate amount of raters to adjudicate claims as quickly as possible. We're also running up against the holidays here with Thanksgiving right around the corner, and then Christmas next month, and then New Year's. So people are taking vacation time. So decisions are definitely coming back a little bit slower there. So, but like we say around here, don't ever give up. We're here for you if you need us. File those claims, file appeals if you need to. Don't ever give up. The process quits only when you quit. So that's what I like to tell all of my veterans here who are on my team. So Danny asks the name of the form. So it's VA Form 4138. It's the statement in support of claim form. That's what you want to use when writing out your statement. We also have a great blog on VA Claims Insider. It's called the 4 Steps to Writing That Personal Statement. So if you Google 4 Steps to Writing a Personal Statement, VA Claims Insider, there's a great blog that we've come up with that can help guide you in writing that personal statement. So let's see, Tim, last comment here. Yeah, exposure at very close range, sound energy to a degree of 270. Okay. My tinnitus is getting progressively worse. Yeah, mine is as well. I wear headphones here at work. There are some things that exacerbate tinnitus. Your tinnitus won't ever go away, but there are some things that if you Google how tinnitus gets worse, there are a few things that make it on that list. I know drinking coffee actually supposedly makes your tinnitus worse. I read that on a recent article.
That might explain a few things.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. If you're like me, I drink, my pot of coffee a day, and the tinnitus certainly doesn't get any better. So, yeah. And then wearing headphones, I'm sure that doesn't help. And then any sort of mechanical noise. That's what they told me in my CMP exam. That's when they were talking about mowing my lawn and things like that. So yeah, there'll be certainly some things that don't make it any better. So yeah, that's true. Michael said the VA just issued him 2 hearing aids. He had no idea that he was deaf. Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of these conditions we don't even know that we have as veterans until somebody brings it up to us, either a doctor, a friend, or if you jump on board with us, one of us as your coach. And that's our job here, is to help educate the veteran community. We're here on Facebook Live. If you decide to sign up for the elite membership, like I said earlier, you'll get one of us as your personal coach. And our job is to educate you throughout this entire process. So,
Sure.
Michael, glad you got some help there with the hearing aids for sure. So, yeah.
So let's see. Joe has a question. He says, I have a rating for tinnitus already. I have a sleeping problem, to which my VA doctor already knows about. Could that be connected? Possibly. that's something that you're going to have to sit down and talk to your doctor about. You have to find out what that sleeping situation is. Is your sleeping problem a sleep apnea problem, or is it something like a insomnia problem? Those are two completely different things. But you need to talk to your doctor, talk to him about what's going on, and see what they come down with. Maybe they might refer you over to mental health to see if you are dealing with any kind of insomnia or if there's something else going on. And then from there, if you want to work with us, work with a coach, they can help you get further down the line. But I certainly think that there's a potential there. I'm not a medical professional by any stretch of the imagination, but I wouldn't say that it's impossible.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely good points there. Tim says he doesn't drink coffee, but he's very sensitive to loud noises. So, yeah, I can be too. Even my kids playing in the same room on the living room floor, that sometimes can have an impact on my hearing as well.
Yep.
I guess I have sensitive ears as well. Let's see, what do we have here? Without a diagnosis during service, recent VA diagnosis, you still need a nexus statement. What do you think there, Ricky?
Not necessarily. The only time I would think that you would probably need a nexus statement, and this is just my opinion, is if you've already gone for it and you've been denied for it, and you've exhausted like every other route. Like you've gone to the VA, you've done your initial claim, you came back and you said, okay, well, I'm going to argue with a higher level review or something, and you still got denied, and they said that they just don't see the link whatsoever. At that point, then I would say, okay, maybe it might make sense to go see somebody that's able to write a medical opinion for you and see if they're willing to do so. But before going that route, I would say don't worry about it.
Right. Yeah, if you haven't been denied yet, focus on your time in service, that job, that MLS that you had in service. Point to your recent diagnosis of tinnitus. And with that personal statement, you can basically self-diagnose and self-report based on the symptoms that you have and then the noise exposure that you were exposed to during military service. So, yeah. Okay, we have a Facebook user. They use a sound app to match the crickets in my ears. Yep, I do the same thing. My CMP will be next week. Should I show them? Will that help me or keep it to myself? So my personal experience, they asked if I had any sort of sound app or sound machine, and I told them I did. And that's the only way that I can fall asleep. If I didn't have it, then it would still bother me. I made sure that they understood that if I didn't have the assistance of a sound machine, if I didn't leave my TV on and fall asleep with my TV on, which happens almost every night anyway. But yeah, you can. I brought it up, and they said, yeah, they understood that. But I made it very clear that if I didn't have that sound app or if I didn't have that sound machine, I'd be in a world of hurt for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Look like the man's in the house, Brian Reese. Glad to see you here too.
Hey, Brian. Hey, great to see you, sir.
Yeah.
Hope you're doing well. Happy Veterans Day. Enjoy your Veterans Day tomorrow with your family. Hope you have a great day, sir. Hope you have a great day. Danny comments, wives comment.
That's funny.
Did you see Danny's comment?
Yeah.
So I'm married. My wife makes that comment all the time. Are you hearing me? And I'm like, no, I need you to repeat yourself. So yeah. She makes that comment all the time.
It's terrible too, because I'll be like 10 feet from her and she'll be saying something, and the thing is like, this is why I'm saying you got to get to the doc. If you got this stuff going on, get to the doc and start talking about this. Don't discount it, because I mean, I'm literally, it happened just this morning. I was 10 feet away from her, and I have the ringing going on in my ear. She's asking me something, and I can't distinguish between too many noises going on at the same time. It's frustrating. So I got like the fan from the bathroom going on, and her saying something, and then this in my ear, and I have to come back and be like, whatever you just said, I didn't register any of it.
Yeah, you have to repeat that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You have to repeat that. Yep. It's true. What else do we have here? David says tinnitus is one of the easiest claims to get approved, definitely tied to your MOS, your military occupational specialty. Yep, that's exactly
Yeah.
right. Appreciate the comment there, David.
Now, Russ asked the question, how hard is it to get your rating increased if it gets worse? Well, when it comes to tinnitus, the max is 10%. But if, like we've been saying, if that tinnitus, if that condition is causing other things, maybe you're not aware that it's causing other things, maybe you need to consider whether or not it is. Look into seeing if there are other options, other routes that you can go to connect that, and that could get your overall rating up.
Right, right. And if you're suffering with hearing loss, and if you rate an increase, yeah, go for a higher rating on your hearing loss. David asked the question: is there a max for hearing loss? So, like you said, the tinnitus is 10%. Hearing loss is a tough one. Most veterans that I have contact with, if they have a hearing loss condition that's service connected, is generally rated at 0%. Even if the veteran is severely impacted by that hearing loss. But I mean, I know veterans who do have a higher rating for hearing loss, 30%, and then even higher. Even
it maxes out at 100%, but you've got to be
right.
deaf.
You have to be, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to be, again, the VA generally rates at 0. If you feel that you deserve an increase, file for an increase, go in for a new hearing exam, talk about how your condition has gotten worse. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Jimmy Steele checking in. Good day. Hey, brother. Great to see you here. We see Jimmy frequently on Coffee with the Coaches and our other live Zoom classes that we offer here with our elite membership program. So great to see you, Jimmy. Happy Veterans Day. I hope you enjoy your time tomorrow with your family and those you love. Happy to see you here.
For sure. Talisha is asking, hey, can you please answer how often it has to occur to be rated? One a day, once every 6 months? There is no minimum. If it's going on, it's going on.
Yeah.
Right. If it's happening, it's happening. So you also ask, the Coast Guard doesn't list hearing loss by any commissioned officer, just enlisted. Well, I mean, we're talking about the VA. Okay, you got to go by what the VA's ratings are. Whatever the Coast Guard has listed, I mean, it might have some bearing, but it doesn't have anything to do with the CFR.
Right, exactly. Yeah, good set of questions there. Good set of questions there. All right, brother. Well, hey, what do you think or what do you think about kind of wrapping up here? I know we're coming up against the clock. Just a quick recap. Today we talked about obviously the company, what we do here at VA Claims Insider. If you need our help, jump on with our elite membership program. You'll be assigned to one of us or one of our other fantastic coaches here on our team. We'd love to help you out, figuring out a strategy, arming you with the education, and going out and getting the medical evidence that you may need to support your claim, and then file your claim, and then help prepare you for the CMP exam. Today we talked about tinnitus. We talked about the causes of tinnitus. We talked about those symptoms. We talked about how to file for it and include your DD-214 and include a personal statement, linking all of your symptoms back to your time in service and that acoustic noise exposure that you experience in service. And then we talked about a bunch of secondaries that can be filed off of a small 10% tinnitus claim, whether it's a mental health claim or headaches or Meniere's disease, which is that inner ear condition. So anything else you'd like to add, Ricky, before we say Happy Veterans Day and happy birthday to our Marines?
The only thing I would say is, if you are struggling with this, if you have further questions, if you're unsure about anything, definitely consider getting signed up with us. We're more than happy to help. There's some, with any claim, not just tinnitus, we have some very important things. There's a Kaluza triangle, which we harp on regularly. You got to have your 3 key elements. You got to have your diagnosis, you got to have an in-service event, and you have to have the nexus between all those things. And we can help you to identify where you fall in that. Some people come to us and they already have it complete. They don't even know it. Right. And so just get with us. Let us help you. And we're going to have a ton of information on our blog. We got tons of information on YouTube. We got tons of information on Instagram. So definitely check us out. We're here to help. We want to help y'all. We love y'all. We hope you guys have the best Veterans Day ever. And to our fellow Marines, happy birthday. Don't eat too many crayons.
Yeah, that's a great point there. A couple last shout outs. Danny says he has to go. Thanks so much for your time. Danny, the pleasure is all ours. We love being here for our veterans, and all veterans, every single branch, any veteran we can help out. It's a pleasure to be here. Ashley asked a really good question.
Yep.
I don't want to leave her hanging.
For sure.
If you haven't yet filed for tinnitus, but you think you might have a possible secondary condition related to tinnitus, should you wait to be approved for tinnitus first before filing that secondary condition? The answer is yes. Go get tinnitus approved first, and then swing around and file a brand new claim with that secondary condition filed secondarily to your service-connected condition of tinnitus. So great question. Glad we got to clarify that there. So couple last comments. Yeah, just happy birthday to all Marines. Thank you all. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you all for your service. Thank you for spending the past hour or so with us. We're really happy you joined us. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great day tomorrow. Remember, this is your day. You deserve it. And thank you all for your service. Have a great rest of your day and a great day tomorrow. We'll see you next time.
For sure.